told us, I believe, last year, they would have two setups, one up on the road and one down by the ocean.
Just think about if you, I could go either way, I just want you guys to be aware of it.
Elam will probably, I'll see if they're gonna set up two.
Yeah.
Because some of these teams might get caught up on the road and run the road in.
Yeah.
Some, which
might be the way it goes.
It might be the way it might, maybe everyone, we might have to go that way.
We might have to, it changes, it's just.
But so, come racer meeting there before the race, we'll talk about Elam and see what they're gonna have set up. But I'd like them to have two setups, so you guys don't have to go up and down.
Think about how those two evolve.
Yeah.
And then you should have a good answer for that.
Kind of back to Shack Cooler, I know that it's an option to get fuel there, because if we do have to run overland, it's substantially further, and that would kind of dictate people getting fuel.
Yeah, Shack 2, between Koyuk and Unifleet, guys, it's over 100 miles, but if you do have to go around, it's going to be longer. So I don't know what size tanks some of you rookies are having, whatever the case may be, but Shack does have fuel. Now, if you get there, the general thing, I mean, we're not going to be giving people 1 minute because the fuel guy was 1 minute behind. But if you're sitting there for a lengthy amount of time, 5, 10, 15 minutes waiting on fuel, we can see that on our end, and we will adjust accordingly. But we're not going to go down the road if everybody got to a fuel stop and had to wait 30 seconds or a minute or two. That may happen. I mean, you're going to be waiting for a team longer than.
So any rookie team that's sitting here doesn't know, you leave Unifleet, you're going to want to fill up everything, go count on getting fuel and check fuel. If you don't have that note already, you're going to want to, your intent is always going to be go Unifleet to Koyuk. You don't want to have to go to check fuel because they're not going to be prepared for you, so just have that just as a note. Any rookies, that's what every pro class team is going to intend on doing, unless there's a major issue.
Yeah. Also, going into Bible camp, they're only going to allow up to 5 gallons per racer. So take that into consideration. Also, you should make it, but it's showing 5 gallons here. How they're regulating that, I don't know. I know, that's up to them on that stuff. So if you guys do get there, we would hate to have to hear, oh, I didn't get my 5 gallons. Like, I don't know how I'm going to know that. So you guys pay attention when you're there getting the fuel. And if you don't feel like you got enough, say something and take care of it there. But we don't want to hear about it after you got drugged into Panama.
What'll be the last one, man?
It's good.
Yeah, and I don't know what the bottom of the barrel is going to look like. So I don't want to hear about that either. All teams participants must declare their layover intentions upon arrival within 20 minutes and stop the clock when ready by saying time. So when you guys get there, you get your bags up, GPS, whatever you're taking off, and let them know time. 20 minutes is totally long enough to declare your layover.
Just back to the express checkpoint, is Coachella an express checkpoint this year?
No, I don't see it on here. I thought it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be in the
It's
road.
listed on here just as an emergency checkpoint still.
Yeah, it's still in this. It's still broken in here. The rules is just emergency. I thought they were changing that. Most likely it'll be enforced to go through Puntilla, not that.
It's enforced in here, it says that.
It does, okay.
It does enforce you to go through there, you have to go through.
I thought that was supposed to be a thing.
But if you guys could ask, it was supposed to be moved in, you could take, right, the emergency thing, you could stop there.
Yeah.
This towing aspect, you're gonna have a hard time. You can't, if you had something happen to the north of, Puntilla, you're not gonna be able to tow back to Christie Bravo. That's not possible, so. We're just talking about that.
Yeah, like the emergency, something happens. We'll take that into consideration as far as we've had someone use it in the past. Get back there.
Says between Whiskey Bravo and Tatina, participants must travel through Puntilla Lake and Harry and back.
was talk though.
That's all we've been.
I think this needs to be clarified, we talked about it in the board meeting, I don't know why it
Yeah,
changed,
it's
but
supposed to.
basically there's supposed to be something that says you have to travel through Eagle Lake or right past whatever the lake is there. Whether you checkpoint or not.
I would plan on going to, the lake, 'cause like Chris said, the rules meeting that we had, I'm not sure that how this got missed, but it should have been in there.
Yeah.
So, or Ptarmigan Valley, like you're saying, that's a long valley, and that was talked about last year, as far as dropping into it, wherever you fell into it, so I don't.
That's all we did is fall into the ball.
You would need the rose bit of falling into it.
Anyway, 20 minutes, guys. Try to get in, talk to your partner, whatever else you guys do as far as strategies, and get your time, your layover time put in within that 20 minutes. It's a pain in headquarters ass to be waiting around hours to get that time put in. So be up on that, okay? I don't see it right here on the page, but, oh yeah, teams will be allowed to change the duration of layover one time only northbound from Big Lake to Nome, and one time only southbound from Nome to Fairbanks. So, all layovers must be declared in 1 hour increments. And race teams must give checkpoint officials notice at least 1 hour before going back on the clock. Make sure you guys are staying up with that, especially if you change. Especially if you're going to decide to change your layover for whatever reasons. The team can leave a checkpoint and return to declare layover, but the layover time begins when the layover is declared. You can lay over in the same checkpoint location more than once with a 15-minute on-the-clock action between layovers starting between the second and third layover. That's basically to get it away from whatever the hell that one team was doing a couple years ago. But anyway, so if you can lay over there as many times, but you start getting time penalties after your second, you put your second and third. You can't leave a checkpoint under tow, you guys. Set between Ophir and Foreman, all express checkpoints, and then come into the finish line between Tanana and the finish line you can tow. You can tow anywhere, you just can't tow up through the checkpoint unless it's listed that you can tow through there. I believe it's basically so you can tow through Indiana. That's just like squinting on, you were allowed to go through squinting on their back. Northbound layover locations. Like I said, you guys got 40 hours going north. The 6.16, it starts going over the time restraints. McGrath, you need to be, must leave McGrath by 11:59 on Sunday. Uniclete goes over in time. Kotzebue has a time. Kotzebue, you go on hold. There'll be a restart. There's procedures for that. There's procedures for that in Nome and Tanana, so read through those. Southbound layovers, you got 20 hours southbound headed to Fairbanks. You hold in Tanana and make your way to Fairbanks.
Do you have to take the 40 hours, or is it just,
No.
is there a minimum you have to take?
Nope.
You can just, it just adds to your time when you get to, and then at that point, so you want to take any, you have 40 hours extra in
You can just do your 40 hours in Nome.
Technically. You can just ride out. You can ride out. To clarify on that though, because if people aren't aware, the Kotzebue hold is not, that's still mandatory though, and not held to those 40 hours.
Yeah,
So you get there, you couldn't just say, oh, I'm gonna keep going through Kotzebue. That is not a layover, it's a hold, so you have to stop there for the window that they've stamped out. In those hours that you're there, whether it's 6 hours or 12, 14, those don't go toward your
On all holes?
correct. Holds are not held to your layovers. Yep, just so
You can, if you get to COTS and you go on hold, you can declare a layover when you go back on the clock.
you guys. Yes.
So if you have issues or need parts, when the plane's not coming in the middle of the night, you can go on layover in the morning and do what you got to do. So there's no penalties, so you can go on layover after you go back on the clock. Just let the checkers know, so you know, if you're going to do something like that, that'll help us with the restart procedure as well. But anyway, that gets us down to the end of it here with the mileage table and your checkpoints and your express checkpoints. So, like I said, read through it, guys. Know them. And then tech, you guys want to come on up? Do you guys have any questions? Any other questions as far as rules go, course goes?
On the South Fork is shut down, is that just because of safety reasons, like it's mid-State River, it doesn't freeze good? That's why?
I mean, as far as it's always been shut down as far as I know.
Is that why?
Yeah, I would assume that's why.
It's the dangerous,
Yeah.
South Fork's the most dangerous part of the whole course. So, I mean, that's just, you're just adding on to more of that if you go on it.
It's dangerous on the other 100 miles we're on it.
Yeah.
Hey, we did it for my service building.
Yeah, you guys did pretty good. All right.
Okay, tech. Guys, if you want to pass these out, this is kind of this is a draft. It's been updated from what's online right now.
Is there a trail class in here? Okay, so I mean, did you guys have any I mean, I didn't really go over the trail class rules or go through them, but what's that? Yeah, there's fuel and shack, and I know trail classes lots of times went in there and gotten fuel. He's there. It's just a matter of he knew you're coming. These pro class guys sneak up on him, or most of them stay out and don't come in. So I don't know what he does, but no, there's fuel and shack. You guys can pull in there, be like, check out the town, do whatever, get a bite to eat. And then as far as Rick might be able to go over, how you guys are, if you're going to go to Kotzebue or if you're going to go to Nome, headquarters will know, will let us know which way you guys are going. We have had to pull trail class teams out of the race. And mostly safety issue, they're falling way too far behind, and we don't feel comfortable having them out there that far behind. They did go after pro class the last couple of years. This year, you guys are going before, so things might be a little bit different. But again, get our numbers. If you have any issues or questions, whatever out there, I mean, and I'm sure you got plenty of people you can reach out to as well, but just know if you're falling behind. The biggest thing with trail class is falling behind or bad storms coming in, and we'd have to do something about that. So other than that, just have fun out there. It's a nice ride. So any other questions from trail class at all?
Hello.
Before we start, if someone asks a question in the audience, can you repeat it so people online can hear the question more so they know what's been asked?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
My name's Brad Swordall, and this is Brian Miller. We're part of the tech team. This is normally presented by Dave Botke, but he couldn't be here because he's in Europe. So what we're here to do is discuss process and how it's going to go for tech. It's the easiest thing you'll ever do until it's not. But what we've done is, Brian and I and Dave, we're experienced with the race. We participated in the expedition or trail class in 2010, so we've done it. And so we know what you're going to go through, what you're going to need. We've developed over the years a worksheet, a checklist that basically identifies what's going to be checked, what you're going to need. This year, we've got it keyed to the rules, so you'll see a number that tells you, okay, this is what you need, this is where it is in the rules. You can cross-check and make sure you're covered. We're all volunteers. Everybody that's involved in tech is a volunteer, so offer the same consideration that you do to the checkers and anybody else involved in the race. So anyway, we can start with the form. We'll have your names, the racers' names on here. Print your names and it'll be signed. Team number, the date. Then we've got the racer A and B. What's going to be helpful is you guys provide your engine number, your serial number, and registration, so that we're just going to clip it to this form. So you'll get a build sheet on your machine. You'll see the numbers. It'll be on your paperwork when you got the machine, so we don't have to hunt for it, and that'll expedite the process.
Bring the form.
Bring this form will be in the race packet, so you can have this pre-filled before you come.
Makes life easier.
And then after that, it's just a checklist for you to be prepared. So starting on the first page is generally your machine. The second page is your survival gear and clothing. We're going to check the exhaust and intake. If it's not a stock exhaust and intake, you're going to be subject to sound testing with regard to whatever's on the machine. Requires a clutch guard, belt, spare belt. Check your throttle. Has to be on the right side, spring return, thumb type. Your brake, tail light, brake light, headlight, windshield, snow flap, carbides, runners, studded track. There's a new rule with regard to pre-studded tracks. GPS, map or compass, your tracker, and gauntlets. And then what will come later is in your race packet will be information for decals to place on your machine and your windshield. We'll be checking these on both machines, both racers.
You want to talk about this a little more on the studded track? We saw a couple years back, we saw it in the expedition class where they put the stud right in the track, in the tread. And they're allowing that now for both the pro class and the expedition class. So that is an allowable method of studying.
From the factory.
From the factory.
From the factory.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify that that's now allowable. That was 2 and a, well, I haven't seen that before. And then now they're doing it, so.
The next one, on the next page, with regard to the helmet, you'll be given a sticker to be placed on your helmet, and that shows that your helmet's been inspected, it meets the ECE, or what's the other one? Snell requirements. Pay attention into the rules in the packet, because there's a helmet that was allowed last year that's not going to be allowed this year. We're moving to the, it's, should be on
ECE 2206.
Yeah, ECE 2206.
And then another thing just on the helmets too, what helps us a lot is if you know where to find that sticker for us, because we're in there all the time turning well, we don't know, we have you turn apart.
Yeah.
And you turn your helmet apart, trying to find that sticker. If you already know where it is, it helps the process.
Sometimes it'll be on the back of your helmet. Don't cover it up with any special graphics. Sometimes it'll be under the liner in your helmet. But yeah, have that identified and, you know, just show us so we can mark it off.
If they're gonna paint their helmets or something.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
don't paint over that sticker on your helmet.
Yeah, there's been guys that came in with beautiful helmets and they, you know, covered up the sticker.
Covered up the sticker, and so it's like, well, let's see,
Well, I
scrape it
guess
off.
then maybe a question for you guys, is it, that's tied to the model? The model is a lot of times still inside the helmet. You have a cross-reference for that, you should be able to cross-reference, say this is the model F3 Carbon.
If you've got a model number on.
Model number, that's an approved model, which is, that meets that regulation, whether it's DOT or not.
Well, just
I'm
bring
just
us the
telling you,
documentation.
Just something to think about. like,
Yeah, bring the
helping you guys
documentation.
out.
Yeah.
Because that will be, a lot of times the model is not, they could be separate.
Oh, the model, as long as it's current, I mean, that's the other thing, it could have an F3 or whatever it is, and it's from older snow.
we need the current.
Yeah,
Yeah, you guys, with that being said, there's reasons why they're going through this. It's for the safety of your, you know, of your noggins there, okay? So, these stickers that they're gonna give you to put on there, if you guys crash and these helmets get banged up, don't be scared to replace a helmet. You know, just let the checkers know, let us know if you're gonna be swapping, for legitimate reasons, that you banged up helmet. We've seen helmets, big cracks in them. We don't want to send you guys down the trail with helmets that aren't going to protect you. So they will be checking these stickers at the end of the race, but don't feel like you got to continue to wear the same helmet if something's happened to it. We can get a replacement out there. Just let us know. The more we know, it just covers everybody's butt by the time you get down to the finish line. So just keep that in mind. You know, if we're in Kotzebue or we're in Nome and it looks like, you know, your partner ran over your helmet, we're probably going to ask you to find another one.
Next, your race number is required to be on your jacket, on the back of your jacket. I've seen them safety pinned on, I've seen them sewed on. Just make sure your race number's on the back of your jacket. There'll be there's information identified in the that's going to be identified in the race packet with regard to upper body protection. And basically, in short, it must have 4 things: chest protection, back protection, shoulder pads, and kidney protection. So, you know, read the rules. It identifies ISR requirements for the racers. Next, eye protection, goggles or face shield, and spares. So everything is identified by cross-reference with paragraphs in the rules. Upper thermals, lower thermals, and spares. Remember that the spare clothing needs to be in waterproof bags. Super important, because if something happens, you don't want to get out of wet clothes and into wet clothes. Face mask, 2 face masks, 2 pairs of gloves, 2 pairs of socks, shin and knee guards, Arctic grade boots. Then a little tricky one here, the sleeping bag, okay? Minus 20 rating, and at TAC, you know, you're going to be packing this thing in the smallest thing you can find, but we need to see the temperature rating on it. So when you pack the bag, make sure that, you know, at a minimum, basically you open the top of your stuff bag, and then the tag's right there, visible, so it's easy to see. Then you don't have to take it out, spend all the time restuffing it.
On that, make sure that, not all bags have the actual rating on the bags. So make sure you just have the model number and pull it up on the internet so that these guys aren't, you know, there's 100 bags, so. Yeah.
Yeah, if you bring us the documentation, but it's better if it's printed out.
Because the Western Mountaineering ones do not have the rating.
Right.
Yeah, but if you go to their documentation, it'll say that model and what it's rated to. So just have that available so that they can just rip through real quick.
Real good point, because that's one that holds us up a lot of times.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, yeah.
The next one, the bivy bag. That's a source of heartache for a lot of guys during tech. This is not it. This is a little foil bivy bag, disposable. This isn't even it. It's, you know, also basically disposable in a bag. You're going to be wanting a ripstop nylon bivy bag, reusable, something like this. There's some that come with the sleeping bag, but it's for your protection. So these aren't that easy to come up with. Like if you didn't have the right thing at tech, it's not a walk in the park just to go find it. So that's one of the things that you want to be prepared for prior to tech.
And the little survival thing is that, talk to people, say, put your sleeping bag in the bivy bag and then stuff it in the sack, because then it's ready. You know, you think about it, if you ever really need to use it, you're gonna be cold and shivering and all that, I gotta get this bivy bag around my bag. If it'll all fit into your stuff bag, that's a good way to travel. So just, common sense thing.
Next, fire starter, 20 matches or 2 lighters, if your matches in a waterproof container. Flashlight with spare batteries. Satellite communication device, in-reach spot for satellite phone. And these items are per person. Next, per team, rope 25 feet, 1,200 pound strength, 5 pounds of tools, hatchet or saw. First aid kit, kind of pay attention to that because it's 1 to 4 people up to 4 days. You know, basically you'll see if it's substantial with regard to what the requirement is. An Arctic stove, and then a pan or cup to boil water in. During tech, if something doesn't pass, the checker or the tech person is simply going to take a yellow highlighter. Not going to wait, not going to slow down the process of tech. We're just going to mark it, and it'll be up to you for between then and race day to make sure it's taken care of. All the tech people, they will take these forms and they'll hand them to Dave, and he'll keep a book showing, you know, and make a running list. So this is the team, this is the person, this is what's not passed. So we know we have a running list of what isn't passed. And so when you get the right thing, find the right thing, have the right thing, you'll go to Dave and you'll say, here it is, and he'll mark it off. And so between then and race day, you'll be good to go. So anyway, it's designed to be simple. And we've helped you as much as possible to be prepared. And once again, just remember, we're volunteers. We're rooting for everybody, and extremely concerned about every racer's safety and on the trail. And so when just let you know that, you know, we're just trying to do our job.
One other thing too is that the expedition class and the pro class, everybody's going to show us all this stuff before you go. The expedition class doesn't need to show it on the way back in, but the top usually 10 or so racers will be showing it all again when you get back to the finish line. So you do show this again to make sure that you still have it with you.
For the satellite communication device?
Nope.
New iPhone?
Nope.
That was discussed.
That was discussed earlier.
Oh,
And I think there's some time needed to see if it's really gonna hold up. So if you're out there with your phone, try it out. We'd like some feedback. Did it work everywhere? If it did.
We already did.
Yeah, I know, you've been testing it out there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been testing mine too, and I go, this is cool, but we're not sure yet, it's brand new, so it might be another year.
With regard to the finish, we know you're tired. We know the last people you ever want to see is us. And we're sorry in advance, but when you say, what do you want to see? It's the exact same thing, you know, that you went out with. You know, with the exception of consumables. You know, if somebody's coming in under tow, you know, blew a belt, we don't care. You know,
Batteries are used up.
instead of track, there's 2 machines that came in without a track. we don't care. But just when you come back, it's the same thing that you went out with. And we apologize, but we have to do it.
There, on that same note, there's usually spot checks and
Yeah,
also.
yeah. Going in to Nome, you guys, maybe even COTS, I don't think COTS, but definitely Nome, you'll be asked to show us some of the stuff, won't be everything. We'll just have a small list there. So be prepared for that. But also, don't be the team that has to get signed off on race morning, okay? Do whatever you gotta do, go out of your way to go get the, whatever you need and find Dave or find his crew and get it signed off. Try not to be the team that might have to get bumped to the back of the line and, you know, trying to round something up. It's gonna ruin your first day of the race. So just go out of your way above and beyond to try to find these guys and get it signed off.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient when it was in Cabela's. People just go buy the stuff
Yeah.
and back.
Any other questions for Tech?
We've done away with safety lasers.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave's little side business on Tech Day went away.
Yeah,
Yeah, everything that's there's some things in the rules that talk about recommended. We pulled them off because, you know, there's no reason to have them on the form. It's up to you to bring them if you need them. What we found was a snow bungee was a pretty good idea to have. So anyway, there's and spare gas, you know, just no-brainer things. Made the trip a lot nicer.
Yeah, and you guys obviously could bring whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go, you bring, the list is just what's minimum.
Yeah, the food requirement went away too, that brick of food. you just have to
So
carry.
for the tools, it says plus or minus 5 pounds. What's the, last time I did it, we had a set requirement for minimum weight. What was
I think it still says 5 pounds of tools.
It
plus
says
or
5
minus.
pounds
Yeah.
plus or minus.
So
You need tools.
yeah, you
don't
need
work
tools, and you know, by the time you run the race, you're going to know every wrench that you needed.
I would say no, if someone's gonna be the scale.
We
No.
No, we go like this.
Well, no,
No.
that's really like,
No.
it's- obviously we know we're gonna need our bare minimum stuff, but I mean like, I don't know what 5 pounds plus or minus really meant, I mean like,
It's about a 6-pack of beer.
We did all of our wrenching on our machines before we did the run, and then we used the tools out of our bag, just to make sure we had everything we needed. Take the sled, take the suspension out, put it back
I
in.
agree with you, the weight thing is kind of, because
well,
somebody
it
could
doesn't
have.
say plus or minus 1 pound or 5 pounds, it's 5 pounds plus or minus and nothing after that, is what I'm saying.
If that needs to be updated, yeah, if that needs to be updated, it won't be us. We just look and make sure that you've got enough.
Yeah, I mean,
No one's gonna travel without tools. You
Yeah.
gotta be able to fix it.
You can, but it's not very.
It's not very good.
I've gone through the tech, I do agree with the 5 pound thing is somebody could have all titanium end wrenches and that's not gonna weigh 5 pounds, right?
Yeah, just work on the wording of that.
People
I
have.
guess.
Have enough tools, you're gonna, it's almost like you can pull them out of always, you know, you have a crescent wrench, you have end wrenches, you can show them and say, this is what makes sense.
I think the weight just helps them check it faster. If they feel something and it feels light, they're probably gonna wanna open it up and see what you got in there. If it looks like, you know, there's 10 screwdrivers in there, they're gonna probably tell you this isn't gonna pass.
Or if you got a set of channel locks and say, that's my tools, probably not gonna suffice, you're gonna want more than that.
I blew over the rail stickers. You're going to get stickers to place. I believe it's going to be on your slide rail. So let the tech person know what rail it is, inside, outside, whatever, just help identify.
That is clearly defined inside of their rules. I believe it's the right side inside rail. You have to place a sticker, make sure you place it in the right spot. You inevitably, they're gonna see somebody put it on the left rail on the outside. I believe it says right in your guys' rules. It's supposed to be on the left rail? Right rail inside. It's
Just look it up.
It's stated in where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you'll get that sticker. It should be in the packet too when you get the sticker. It should have some directions. That one, that's so you're not switching out your whole suspension. And if you do break a rail or have to swap that rail, marshals need to know about it so we can document that you got a different rail and try to get you a different sticker. But that did happen last year with the team, so just make sure we are getting that rail.
With regard to touching your machine, really we don't want to, other than the brake and the throttle and checking the carbide. But with regard to your side panels for the muffler, the belt, you guys go ahead and pull your own panels so that we can take a look. Just, it'll expedite it. And just be patient on tech day, because we're going through, there'll be a process established, and we'll get everybody as quick as we can. Anything? Good. All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, well, Chris and Tyler. Oh yeah, you gotta take a break.
Yeah, I'll take a 5-minute break and then that's it for pros. Just rookies now need to stay.
Is there accommodation?
Is it?
Sorry. Beginning of every week. My wall just loaded. We have a meeting. So I thought, that's technically takes a little more priority. Right. But then like in between the aviation, go grab those tanks, blow them up, you know, and then get back into the Thursday highlight. I keep my other dude going on stuff, and Thursday I'm like spending the flight practice trying to get over and spend the whole kind of back on Friday. Must have figured out how to do it. You know. All the way up to crazy. I'm trying to avoid that. I've been there before, like the week before work. Yeah. Not from you guys. Now it's nice. Like if people just asked me last night, where do you get all your race now? Right here. Just standard. Right. That's exactly what I want. It's like it's the standard. It's super easy. They have everything, and then everything you use, any extra stuff you bring it in, and they save it, so you can just go in and ask. This guy had this one. I got one of the yeah. He said he was coming up with another. I haven't heard of it. Yeah, he working on that. Came up with something. I'm not sure. There's so much flex. I thought I was talking about this everything's flexing so much. You're gonna brace something. You're gonna brace something else. Are we gonna move this problem around the scale? I'm curious. I haven't talked to him about it. He said he's done it in the past. They got you broke. Bye, guys. I haven't finished. So I raced 2022. We scratch out. We ripped off the brace. I wish I had that brace. Matt Breeze. Still rookie. Dustin. He's finished twice now. Yeah, last time he raced was fast 8th. Got a comment. I was joking with him yesterday.
Yeah, I tried calling. He didn't return my call yesterday.
He's been working Storm. So.
Is it? I was blown at my house in Eagle River. It's blown now. Sitting on Palmer Ranch. All the keys around it are just getting like pummeled. This is
Hey, if you guys are rookies, we're going to start this, get it rolling, and everybody's got an opportunity today.
you guys can get maybe a little closer to us so we don't have to yell, and then when questions come up, Mike, yeah.
You're gonna get really used to being in confined spaces
Yeah,
with all these guys anyways.
Yeah.
Find out who stinks. Some are worse than others. You can tell stories about that.
All right, we're gonna go over a lot of stuff today, so it's really gonna be about you guys and what you, if you're sick of us or you do or don't want to hear stuff. So, I'm Chris Olds. I've been racing the race since 2000. Signed up every year except for 2005. Is the only year that I haven't signed up since then. So I've done it quite a few times. Only did race twice in that time. That was 2003. It was canceled, and last year I broke my back, so I couldn't race last year. But I was signed up to race. Tyler's helping out. Four-time champion. You know, there's a lot of experience up here, so this is the time to get in. The reason why I started teaching the rookie workshop in 2007. Missed 1 year because we were out on the river with the sunk sled. But other than that, taught it every year since 2007. When I originally signed up, there was a rookie workshop. They had stations with different people teaching the workshop. I felt that a lot of the information that we got was very It's kind of misrepresented, what it was like, the stuff that we were supposed to take. It wasn't very usable information that we got. In 2006, I raced with Matt Spurnack. He felt the same way, that the rookie workshop was actually, if anything, it actually was a disservice, not a service to people running. So he said we should help out with the rookie workshop, and again, 2007 I did, and we've done it ever since. I've done it ever since. So our goal here is to try and make your guys' rookie workshop, or sorry, your rookie year as best as it can be. We want you to have a good experience. We want the Iron Dog to grow, not go the other way. So the only way, if you have fun, you're going to want to come back. I think that a lot of, a big part of this is, asking a lot of questions, getting a lot of different opinions, because everybody has different, what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you or Tyler, or vice versa. So kind of keep that in mind as we go through this. We'll kind of go through all these different things that we're going to go through, especially like with clothing and stuff. We're going to, like I said, everything is different for everybody, so we'll kind of talk about that as we go. I'll hit that a bunch of times. With questions and stuff, we're going to try and kind of keep somewhat of an order here, because it's real easy to just start talking about random stuff. So we'll kind of let you know what we're kind of talking about, and we'll kind of try and keep the topic at that time on those items.
If your question comes up, we'll try to say, hey, that's coming up later. We just don't want to get derailed on this and get, all of a sudden we're over here and back and forth, right? Let's try to stay on somewhat of a scheduled format, and we will get to it.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal. There's no dumb questions, and even if you do it out of time, that's fine. Like I said, we talked about that. A couple things. One of the first things is, remember, as you as racers or trail class riders, or just being part of the Iron Dog, that you guys are representing not only yourselves, but your sponsors, Iron Dog sponsors, and all of us. So the communities absolutely love Iron Dog. When you go through the villages and any of the communities from here to the finish, you guys will be rock stars. They love us, and we want to keep it that way. So make sure that you conduct yourself. They talked about, everybody that's out there is volunteers. So there's zero reason to be bitching, yelling at anybody out there. There's zero reason for that. They're not making the rules. They're not making the decisions. So again, there's no reason to get upset with anybody. So
for perspective of that, people that don't know and you haven't been out there, as most of you being rookies, you're not only you're not in a public facility like this either. When we come into that, a lot of times you're in somebody's house, right? They've shipped off their kids to go sleep at the school or somewhere else, so you can have a bed, you can have something, they're bringing in water, they're bringing in food, particularly for us. Like, they know, in a lot of cases, we might not want to eat some of the food they have there, so they come in and they bring stuff for us, the bottled water. They're making sure all that stuff, you're very well taken care of, and you're in somebody's home a lot, 90% of the time. So it's very, shouldn't have to say it, but it's a respect thing,
Yeah. I know that they kind of talked about the rules, but the big thing is go over the rules. Make sure you guys read the rules front to back and understand them. The only people that you should be really asking questions, if you have questions about rules specifically, don't get me wrong, you can talk to Tyler and I. We don't make the decision of what goes and what doesn't. Nobody does, except for the race marshals. So the reality is if you have specific questions about the rules, talk to the marshals. They're the ones that are going to be able to answer it. Sometimes, these rules have been kind of, changed throughout the years. So there's some gray areas in there for sure, but there's not a lot. But if you have questions, there's new rules, and so sometimes things that come up that, maybe that someone didn't think about, and they have to kind of talk over it with the rules committee, maybe even the board. So get those questions to those guys. Again, you can ask questions, but when it comes to mandatory safety gear, you know, we're not the ones that can tell you that that's gonna be okay. We might be able to say, hey, we've done this for years, but check with the race marshals. So, I think that's a big one. And then our first topic that we're gonna go over is the individual safety equipment and team equipment. These guys kind of already hit all the things that you guys have to, carry, so we're not gonna beat that to death. But if you have any questions on some of that, a couple things that I do want to go over. When you go over, you know, rope, for instance, you know, I don't even know what it says in the rules about rope, but I can tell you that there used to be a rule in there about rope that had to meet like a 1,200.
It's 1,200 pounds.
Is that what it says still?
And it's
So,
not enough.
It's not enough. I can tell you right now that we went and got the thinnest, what met the minimum requirements for rope, and started, you know, and it was good stuff too. It wasn't, I mean, it was climbing rope and everything like that. It wasn't like it was cheap, you know.
So a 1,200 is gonna be like a 6 millimeter, you're gonna go look at that, you're gonna probably go, for what, if we're gonna go right into rope, I guess. But back up for a second.
Yeah.
Chris kind of hit on this. Everybody's gonna have a different perspective. I'm gonna have my perspective of this race. Chris is gonna have his. Ours actually aligned for the most part, but there is differences. I am on the far end of the spectrum as a minimalist out there. That's my approach to the race. That's Nick and I's approach. That's what we've done. We are light, simple. I'm gonna get out of the situation. I'm not gonna fix things out there if I don't have to. That's just how I'm gonna go. Chris might carry.
I'm definitely a little more of carry more stuff and be a little bit more prepared to be able to fix stuff on the trail. So
right, wrong, indifferent. That's however, like, that's our approach. We're going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you the pros, cons of why we do this. He's going to tell you on his side why they do it that way. Take it in, and you're going to ultimately see what works for you. And going into all this and hitting it from the top it's not the gospel here of like, this is what you have to do. Try what you have, whatever you have, and whatever we come up with in these questions, go out and try it. Don't do it the week before the race and be like, oh, I'm gonna try this, and this cool new jacket's out, and that's supposed to keep you warm, and you're gonna get it the week before the race and put it on and use that, or this type of rope, and you have this thing out there, and then you're out there trying to fumble around and figure it out. Whatever you're gonna do, try it today, now, in the next 2 months before the race, and stick with it. Don't be changing it.
Yeah. Yeah, so going back to the rope, we literally got the thinnest rope. First time we had a breakdown, started towing, snapped. Toe snaps. You know, we're trying to make this. So anyways, I do typically carry a bunch of different ropes with me. Like Tyler said, I carry a little bit more, so I do carry some thin stuff so we can strap hoods down or whatever. And I carry, you know, either like Spectra or like winch type of rope, like 3/8, not the small stuff, but we carry at least one good rope that we can use for towing or if we need to, like, you know, winch a machine out or do something that's more, I mean, we might have to swim. We've literally snapped sleds up out of ice and stuff with the sled, and you're not going to do that with a thin rope. So for me, having more is better. I don't think, like I said, don't go minimalist on the rope.
You can see that, like, this is,
yeah.
While we're sticking on this, I guess let's go to rope a little bit. Like, there's what your problem would be, right?
Yeah.
Pull that over that and know a couple knots. Can't tie a knot, tie a lot, I guess, but that's usually not a good scenario. Anybody in here, like, and this goes back into giving a little bit about Chris and I. We do this for this, but we also are part of Alaska Safe Rider, so it's generically across the state of Alaska as we're trying to spread this knowledge to many others, because it may be even in here. I don't want to, it's how many people maybe don't know how the best way to hook up and tow a sled. So Chris talks about having the right rope and making sure you have strong enough rope, but like, show of hands, if you got to tow one of these sleds, like, you think you want to tie to the ski tips or the bumper?
I go behind the fence.
Well, that's exactly right. Don't ever think like your ski tips, one, you got a skidoo and you have these, and you tie to the ski tips, you're going to rip the ski tip off, like, instant. It's not going to tow, right? It's never going to work. Same with the bumper. Bumper's going to die with the sled. Simple, figure out how to tow a sled, right? Go try that before you do this in case that is a scenario. Know back to the knot thing. Know a couple knots. Like, I can't get this one. Does anybody know how to show hands know how to tie a bowline?
Yeah.
That's probably the one.
That's a good one to learn.
Best
Going to the A-arm?
Yeah, Yes, so I actually go to the spindle, go to the back of the spindle, and you don't want to tow to one or the other. It's gonna depend on your sled too. Like, I'm just looking at a Polaris right now, probably don't want to go to the spindle because they're gonna cut the rope.
We typically go through the, just so you guys know, we typically go through the AR,
Yeah.
is what we do. And then we can also, if you have to, if no one's out back there, we'll run it through the arms and then through the ski tips, not pulling from the ski tips, but just to keep the ropes, the skis straight.
And you can do that on his Polaris, so you guys, feel free to get up here and look. The reason you can is his A-arms come in and they don't get pinched off into the bulkhead. It's not gonna work on a Skidoo, because what it's gonna do is you go to tow that, it's gonna suck in, and our A-arms are encapsulated inside of the bulkhead further. Your rope's gonna get jammed up in there, you're not gonna get it out, it's gonna cut it, the A-arms are gonna be an issue. So, personally, from a Skidoo perspective, we tie around our spindles. So I just come down below the lower here and tie right to the bottom here. Our spindles don't have a very sharp edge on them. And what I would do is go around that spindle, tie a bowl in right here on this one, run the other lead up, just go around the bumper, come back, go to the other one. With that is, make sure that you can do that. Generically, the bumper that comes on a Skidoo, you will rip it in half. It's a piece of very thin aluminum metal that is not meant to be towed from. So almost every Skidoo team, they make a heavy duty bumper or have something, but that's all going back to that preparation to know how to do this if you're in that scenario. You also could go to, there's some guys that put like little eye bolts into the running boards, tunnels. I think they
us, we have like the
running board there, footrest.
Yeah.
Key to this is to go try it. You'll find though, I mean, this is here, even with this good rope, this is probably the minimum size rope I would carry.
We carry it.
Which this is over, this is probably like 2,400. So
I've had that rope for a while. Yeah, so that's my practice rope.
Very good. I actually carried this the other day.
We've gone to the winch cable stuff. Is what we typically do.
Yeah. I don't like that stuff personally. So we're gonna have different like opinions. This is what I carry. Same good one passing around. More people.
I just have a aluminum carabiner on the end of my rope, and it's just a quick snap.
Yep.
Gives me a lot of visibility.
Yep. Becomes a space thing. I don't do it because I want space and they bulk up.
Yeah.
From most people's out here, probably going to the minimalist thing of where maybe I'm living is do that later and maybe don't try that your first year.
Well,
Have enough stuff, have the right stuff.
And the same thing with like we're talking about, even the length of the rope, 25 feet. So in 2006, I went through the ice. I was swimming, and we had to get my sled out, and it was just the two of us. There was no way we had to get it up over ice ledge and stuff like that. There was no way we were just gonna lift it up. So we had to get it on a sled and start pushing it forward and pulling it and pushing it. 25 foot was nowhere near long enough. We needed 50 foot of rope to make this happen. So just be thinking of things like that. Again, 25 is the minimum length, but you might want to consider longer than that because there could be a scenario where 25 foot's not long enough. I've been in that scenario. We had to get another rope.
So that's per team. There's another suggestion. So 25 foot is what they say is per team. That's all you'd have to have is that one bundle of 25 foot. I carry usually one, and so does Nick. That's how that is something I wouldn't skimp on. When you're thinking about carrying this and staying to this, I carry one somewhere that's accessible, like in a dash bag, so if you had in tow, I can do it quick. I can get it up, get you moving, keep moving, and then we have another one that's usually stashed away somewhere like back in the back of the sled underneath the sleeping bag, and that's just catastrophic. As he's saying, you're stuck in the bottom of a creek, your sled's underwater or something, you're trying to figure out some contraption, mechanical advantage to get it out of there, you have that rope, but it's sure nice to have it if you need it. So think about that.
The mandatory gear clothing, we're going to get into a clothing section, but when it comes to the gear, they kind of talked about it. Make sure that you guys a couple things to think about. With the mandatory gear, you're supposed to technically have another set of layered gear for you. Make sure that it's in bags for one thing, especially if it goes underwater. Another thing to consider, and we thought about this as an example of when I went in the water and all my stuff was wet or gone. Something to consider is like if your teammate, if you guys are completely opposite sizes, someone's bigger and someone's smaller, something you might want to consider is maybe swapping gears. So like if someone loses a sled over the edge of the ice, and their stuff's gone, then that's the person that goes in the water, that the other guy's carrying your gear. Something to consider. I mean, if you're close to the same size, it's probably not a big deal. But make sure you have all your, all the gear that you're supposed to have.
Not meant to scare you, but people do go in the water.
Yep.
It's happened more than a lot.
There's
been wet. I've been wet.
I have
Good,
to.
bad. I've gotten wet and I've gotten back going, right? We got back going and everything was fine. But I was soaking wet from, chest down, being in very frigid cold water, then rode for another 200 miles. Can't happen. So, just be prepared.
And your voice is still
Yeah.
When it comes to like fire starting stuff, I'm pretty big on the fire starting stuff. I mean, they make micro torches, they make lighters, waterproof matches. Make sure the matches are waterproof or in a sealed container. You never know, like these torches, most of them don't work when it's super cold. So this might work great here in the room or when it's warm out, but when it's 40, 50 below, and you go to use this, it's not going to work, and that's when you're going to need it. So test your gear, make sure it's going to work. I carry multiple fire starters. I even carry a magnesium stick. Worst case scenario, I always have something to be able to make a fire. Something else to consider, and again, from being in the water multiple times, unfortunately, something to think about too is what you're carrying on your person, as opposed to, I know Tyler's more of a minimalist, and a lot of people when they pick up my jacket think it's ridiculous because I have a lot of stuff that I carry with me, on me, because I don't want to be in a position when, I carry my inReach in my pocket. So if, as a matter of fact, we just did a class, an avalanche class, and the guy was just talking about, I didn't bring it up, he brought it himself, that he had an inReach with him, but when he basically lost his sled, he didn't have it, so it didn't do him any good. So I carry it on me personally, I always have, because that way if I lose my sled in the water or something, I still have it on me. Same with like matches or a fire starter. If that stuff's on your sled at the bottom of the river or the bottom of the ocean, and you need it, it's not going to do you any good if everything's packed on your sled. So something to consider is things that you want to keep with you. I always have like a Leatherman on me. Again, something to make a fire. Multiple things to make a fire. My inReach is stuff that I always have. I even used to carry, like I said, a glove liner just in case. But something to think about what you have on you.
Skill level of people here, if you haven't done it, go out and try to make a fire, right? Know how to make one. Maybe don't just try it, know how to. Make sure you have the stuff to do it. The waterproof matches, yes, we carry all that. It's mandatory. I don't carry a whole lot in my jacket, as Chris is going to say. I just don't like it. I don't like feeling having that all on me. That's me personally. I have since in the last few years started carrying my inReach in my pocket when I can, for exactly like it's mentioned. I still carry just like a simplistic bit lighter. I don't know. I always have it everywhere I go, whether I'm hunting, fishing, all this stuff. They work. Yes, they cannot work at times, but I have the mandatory stuff. But just a big lighter they're light, they're easy to carry, they're under pocket. That's, to me, it's not going to meet any of these requirements what they need, but they work most of the time. So,
like a hatchet or a saw or something. I highly recommend carrying something that you practice with. I can tell you when I first started riding, I bought one of those cable saws, thinking, hey man, this is great, weighs nothing, I'll have it with me. First time I went out there, I probably made about 3 saws and it freaking snapped right in my hand. It didn't do me any good.
No sales pitch, there's a million different options out there. This thing is amazing. Customer, it does have one on there. I have never had an issue with the still ones. They just work. Climb makes one too. There's others, but this thing has been, they've been my go-to. They're just like this. Everybody's seen these type of saws. This one happens to work. I've cut lumber with these before.
Yeah, I mean, even, I've got like I said, Climb makes one, you know, I've got one, this one here, I've got a thinner one too that I carry, but again, test it out, because a lot of them don't work. A lot of them will, you know, fold up, and there's been times where we've had to get out of brush and situations.
And most of them, like, try to find like, I had that orange too, like that one has, that makes a huge difference. You're gonna inevitably be cutting yourself out of an alder or something. It happens. We'll just be out practicing during the race, whatever.
Headlights or headlamps or some flashlights, you know, it's like, I don't know if it's mandatory or not. Maybe batteries, like I said, it says flashlight, okay. You know,
with a headlamp?
headlamp works fine.
Yeah.
So as long as you have some sort of a light.
Flashlight?
Yep. I just, you know, recommend again something that you know, having a little mini flashlight, that's great, and it meets the requirements. Again, if you have to work on something and you're trying to hold it, trying to work on something, you know, you might want to have a headlamp or something that's where you don't have to hold on to it. And again, make sure it works in the cold and different stuff like that.
They're gonna say a single battery, I think, is what you have to have, is just two spare batteries.
Yeah.
I usually carry like a little bundle, like the light I carry is a single AAA battery for it. I could just have the 2 extras in there. I usually have like more than that. I'll have them just kind of taped together. AAAs are not very big, and they just sit in my handlebar bag. Because I have been out, I've used the battery in the one, I've used the next battery, and then another battery. I had to tow with my cell phone. Shoved in my helmet so I could like I legitimately had to use my cell phone like to get like to be able to see. I had to ride with that because that's all I had. It was kind of a mess, but it will happen.
Yeah, so that's one of the, like I said, something to think about.
That was
Like when it
training.
comes to having maybe even a decent. I've been in the same boat where my teammate lost his, crashed on the river, had no lights and stuff like that, and was kind of following me, and eventually he was using a little headlamp, and you can outride these really good. So, you know, the better light you have, potentially could save you for if you're in a position like that or situation like that. So
Gonna probably keep going back and back and back on this. Is it's same, that goes back to that same, I said new jacket, new light, or that goes to new light. All this stuff you should have on you, like, get it now, get riding with it, practicing out, training, you just ride with it all the time. Don't all of a sudden the week you're walking through Sportsman's, be like, oh, that light looks sweet, I'm gonna replace that, put that on there. Probably go with what you know and what you've been using. And then as well, like, don't figure out some new convoluted place to put it and pack it. Like, have that stuff on your sled now. Have that stuff accessible. All these things we're talking about right now, that's all stuff. I think Claire's, he kind of has a dash bag here. You notice my saw is in my handlebar bag, very accessible to get out. That's where I have my, you know, my fire starter, a couple smaller tools. With this, I kind of talk about the tools, the 5 pounds, not really. I think that's like the best way to see it. You're gonna have random tools all over on your sled. I do carry like a tool wrap with this, and then I also, you know, like 10 and a 13 millimeter are really big hand wrenches on Skidoo. Those are accessible and right in my handlebar bag. I have those all the time. That tool wrap. So this is how Nick and I so I have a couple things that I would need, like if I needed to adjust the handlebars 10 millimeter, and that does happen. You take a huge hit, you shove your handlebars forward, and you need to loosen them up, reset them. I have that to do that. Honestly, channel locks, just, you know, you can grab on pretty much anything or have to do. I just keep those readily available. And how we do this is the rest of the big tools in the tool wrap, Nick carries all that. He has all that on his sled. I carry all the nuts and bolts. Similarly, split that up. There's a couple tools that I can work on something if I had to out there, but for the most part, I'm going to need him with me to fix something major. that's our approach. I don't think
That's kind of, that's similar. I
Is
mean,
it?
like my last teammate was, you know, he always would say that he carried nothing because he knew I had everything, so. Which sucks, so. It's nice when you split, like you said, it's actually better to be able, if you can split things up. We do this, we kind of do the same thing. We will split, like, we'll come up, when I know, this is my main bag that I carry with me all the time. When we go to Iron Dog, we're gonna have like 3 different bags. My teammate's gonna carry one, and I might carry 2. Like I said, I like carrying just like what he said. I carry, these tools will do the majority of the stuff that I need, and it's really easily accessible, and I don't have to stuff those someplace. But there's a few things where we might need a ratchet and a socket that we can't get on with end wrenches. We don't, you know, that's stuff that we pack away and we don't use it. That's like emergencies, like if we have to do A-arms and stuff like that. So that's why we don't necessarily kind of split things up so that we're not doubling up on all of our tools. We don't need, you know, some of the stuff we don't need to double up on it. Yeah, just kind of, I think we're pretty close to being done.
They got rid of the flares and stuff. That was actually news to me today.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that till today either. See, we're still learning too. Like I said, the rules change all the time, so even for me, it's tough.
I got a question online. The lights, is the helmet light still required in addition to the flashlight lamp?
So he's talking about if the helmet light, if we need one along with the regular flashlight, no, you just need a flashlight is the only requirement. We're just saying that I would highly recommend having a headlamp. And a headlamp will take place as a flashlight, so yeah, it could be one or the other. You just need to have a light and spare batteries, I believe. I think we kind of hit most of this stuff. I think that
Talk about it, get familiar, take it for granted, sorry. Know how to use a GPS. If it's not something you're regularly used to using, like, it's not a good time to figure out how to use it out there when all of a sudden you need to. Not to, like, I don't know how to express to anybody, if you have never been in a storm in the northern area in the Arctic, whether it be Norton Bay or up by Kotzebue, there's nothing like it ever. That is a very intimidating feeling. I mean, people say, oh, I couldn't see this person in front of me. It is legitimately that bad.
Yes.
Like, we could not see each other. Like, it is, and so know how to use that GPS, because you could be staring at a dash just to figure out where to go, going a couple mile an hour, just creeping along. It can be that bad out there on that coast.
it has happened multiple times
Yeah.
since I've been racing. In 2000 and, I don't remember what year it was.
2020 was really bad.
Well, 2020 was bad, but it was really bad in 20. Anyways, doesn't matter. One year they actually 2 years now. They actually restarted us, get us off the coast as teams, like in groups, I should say, not even as teams, because it was the storm was so bad. They just wanted to get everybody safely off the coast, and there was guys that didn't have any tracks. So like with our crew, I was the only one that I had actually saved our track coming up. And so I was zoomed in like all the way, and all I was doing, there was no looking at anything. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't, and it was so windy that like even your track, like any tracks that were out there were completely blown away. So there was no, you couldn't even try to follow a trail, even if it was in front of your bumper. So I'm just zoomed in, and everybody was following behind me as a train, and like, you know,
So
5 foot behind each other.
learn that GPS, have it oriented to how you know, right? They can orient up so that it's always, you can either have north up or always tracking up. I personally like to always track up. What that means is my track, so is always whatever direction I'm going is what is going to orient itself on the screen. So then as I have a deviation from a running line, that track that I have, I start moving this way, it's gonna move over here. I know, all right, I'm gonna come back this way. You're gonna legitimately be following this thing going like this a little bit. You're trying to minimize that as much as possible and staying on that orientation. If it has to where north is up, that can get tricky in my opinion, because then it's always tracking north, and you can lose that perspective of giving yourself a running line to follow, because it's going to obviously track north, not to your track if you want to track that. So you track it. Again, learn those, learn how to use that GPS, how to do that. Big part with your GPS, not only is that tracking orientation, is how to turn maps on, off, what you need, right? Or if somebody downloads you and gives you one, make sure you know that that is actually referenced on the screen. Depending on the GPSs, there are newer ones. We'll talk a little bit about which ones are good, which ones are bad, why they're good, why they're bad. 276 is a great one for all weather climates. The fact that it, just gonna go right into this real quick. Why? So this is, it's a little older model. This is what we use. The reason we use this is it works at -50. It works all the time. It is a great GPS. It processes slower than some of the new ones. If you've ever used the 700i or any of those, the Montanas, they process quicker, they can hold more data. So with this, where I'm saying with that know how to turn maps on, I have loaded from here to McGrath or even all the way to Unity. I can usually have all the maps that I want on there to where it's processed quick, to where it's not like trying to reload. And then I have to know I take my GPS off at that next layover and I load the next stage of Unity, North to Kotzebue, Nome, and load that stuff on. So I'm actually loading those maps throughout the race or on layover if you're wanting your GPS with you. And knowing how to load those, make sure you have the right one on and which track you're going to follow becomes pretty important. A lot of people get in there, they've never done that on these, and then they don't know how to do it. It's not the time to try to figure it out. Yeah. Or while you're out there in the middle of a windstorm and it's below 50 and you can't tell where you're at, you don't have a track and you're trying to figure out how to fumble through it.
Learning in the race is not the time.
Back to why, I guess, a little bit of the GPS. Anybody use the 700i? Know what I'm talking about? It's a very cool GPS. It's got an inReach built into it, so it's dual purpose. They're cool. I think they're awesome. I wish it worked. You get below, about 20 below, they quit working. It does not work on your dash anymore. It sucks because it's processes quicker, it moves the graphics, everything about it is a touchscreen, works, it just does not like cold. There's no real work around it. We've tried putting heaters on it. All that stuff does not seem to, I've heard that, oh, I'm gonna put a thumb warmer on it. It does not, it knows the outside temp and it starts seeing that and it automatically wants to shut itself off no matter what. And it's a pain in the butt, especially when you need it and you're trying to put a GPS in your jacket, keep it warm. Get on a pitch. And I know there's more, I don't know if they use some of the Polaris have a built-in one, I believe that works pretty good. 7S, whatever works, just know how to use it. Just from my perspective, we use the 276. I know it works out there. Knock on wood, have not had it.
Yeah, the 276 has been our standard for a long time. We've been running the 7S ourselves personally. I'm still not that familiar with it because last year was the first year, like I said, I didn't end up racing, so I have very little experience with it. But want to make sure that it works. It worked good before the race. He kind of hit on a little bit, even like in the past, someone could be running a completely different GPS, but in the past, I mean, we used to have to build heated, covered things for our GPS, quite a few years ago. Because that was the only way we could get them to work when it was super cold. So, again, you got to get out there and train when it's cold out and make sure that your stuff works. So, I think we kind of hit most of that. Anybody have any questions on the kind of the safety, the mandatory stuff at all? No? Okay. Kind of move on to personal hygiene. Some things to be thinking about, like, when you're racing, things that you want to take with you or maybe have available or ship out or have some stuff available. But I just put stuff down. I just kind of threw a little list together of stuff that you might think about as having like a little day bag or a night bag that you guys, when you get there, you can take off your sled real quick and you have the stuff with you. So, talk about like, having stuff like tape, foam tape, Vaseline, like bag balm, maybe preparation H. If you have glasses, eye contact, stuff like that. Be thinking about how you're gonna store this stuff, how you're gonna, you know, when you get there, what you're gonna need. Frostbite care potentially. You can take it from me, I've had some serious frostbite in this race. You want to be kind of prepared to be able to kind of deal with it. You know, having some kind of tape that you can maybe put over it with some Vaseline or some, you know, polysporin or something like that. But be thinking about that stuff. Super glue. Super glue works in a bind for first aid. You know, first aid stuff. You know, it kind of goes along with the first aid.
He's talking about this, and it's not a fun talk, but anybody that's not sat on a snowmobile for 22,000 plus miles, your butt's gonna get chewed up.
Raw.
It's gonna it's gonna happen. So know that, right? And be prepared. It's, you know.
What have you guys found that works the best? Like for Vaseline, Body Glide, like all those things.
So they make
work?
like there's a couple ones that are actually made for it. Vaseline seems to work just fine for
20 years of doing it, I'm a big callus now, so.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good too. And again, if you put enough miles on beforehand, usually you're pretty good, except a couple things that I'll just kind of. I learned there was one year that we ran and I wasn't planning on racing, and I raced and didn't have like say new gear, and I had a wet butt, and that wet butt just chafed like no other. So, but with the gear that I ride with now, I typically don't have to do anything, but that's not to say that you shouldn't do anything, because being prepared for it, Matt, you know, he literally had his own concoction of Preparation H and Vaseline, and he had like 3 different things he had mixed in there. And
So
he used a lot of it.
I think a lot of it's all going to work. It's like, try it. It's going to be those miles that I say that jokingly about, but it's then also learning the bigger part of it is maybe having the miles on and staying dry. Because as you start, whether it's you got a wet butt from being in wet snow conditions or snow coming up and getting on your seat, or vents open, or you sweating, that can happen, as well as people have watched them do it in the race going into this, is they go out and it's snowed 2 inches on your snow machine, and you sit right on that snow. Wipe your seat off, get it clean, you know, keep that off. There's all these things, just trying to stay dry inside is probably the bigger aspect of what starts to cause some of that. But I think just simply Vaseline is what I have. I mean, it does work. I think there's a million different things of all this, but just like a little Vaseline. And
just no double dipping. Okay?
Yeah, you have your own Vaseline and a squeeze tube.
Yeah.
So,
but be thinking all, you know, like that moleskin, I think is another thing that a lot of people will have with them, or you know, blisters, foot, hand, and stuff like that. I don't typically, I haven't needed it, but I have been with teammates and seen it a lot.
People that have not been exposed to temperatures that you potentially could be put into understand, like, that sensation of feeling cold is going to happen quick when it's neg 50, and it starts leaking in, and all of a sudden the corner of your eye, that's like a notorious spot, right? Corner of your eye or down around your neck, you start feeling that cold, stop, deal with it, because it's going to be a big issue. It's going to all of a sudden, you know, you're going to feel it, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to go another couple miles up the trail. You probably go for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Oh, it went away, it must have sealed up. No, you just frostbite your face that quick, and now it doesn't hurt because it's killing you, right? So that it will happen that fast. So you feel that sensation of leaking and getting cold, like, deal with it.
Right then.
Because otherwise, you're going to show up to McGrath, and your face is going to, I've watched it, it's unfortunately, I've seen people do it. There was a guy I know very well, and I did not recognize him the next day. His face was so swollen. Like, his eyes were swollen shut. I think they were able to finally keep going, but I don't know how. They ended up having to make a neoprene mask for his face because it was so frostbit, and it was awful. So, that is, and like, staying on track with a little bit of this, that is going to be one of the ones that gets people. South Central, we're historically not that cold right here, right? We might be 20 below on a start of the race. You're going to leave here, you're probably going to be all bundled up and be like, oh, I need you get all this warm clothes on because I'm leaving here and I was cold at the start. You've been standing around at a starting line, you're shivering. And then you hit the Yentna and you're like, you kind of start warming up. Well, now you hit the Alaska Range. It's probably the most physically demanding portion of the race. You cut up through there, it's for one elevation, you're gonna go up, it's gonna warm up, it's gonna probably be 0 or above, and you're in there, you're aerobically moving, you're gonna sweat, you're gonna get so hot because you're overdressed, you are you're gonna open up your zippers, you're gonna pull your face mask down because you don't wanna take the time to change your face mask, and now you're gonna drop down on the other side on the South Fork, and it's now 30 below. And all that stuff that you pulled down because your mask, you couldn't breathe, and your zippers, everything's froze solid. Now you have block ice here, and you keep going. Now you have frostbite, and now it went from 30 to, and this is no joke, it could be 40, 50 below into McGrath. Like, it is going to get cold historically on the other side of the Alaska.
We have left Big Lake. There was one year we left Big Lake, it was 38 degrees in Big Lake, and it was 40 below when we came into McGrath. And that was the same day that we were riding. So that's a massive temperature swing. And there's been a lot of times, like what Tyler's talking about, is that it drops. But you want to be, yeah, when it comes to like the frostbite, you do not want to, like you said, when you feel it stinging just a little teeny bit, stop and fix it. It is worth it 100-fold to just stop and fix it then, because if you wait, like you said, the problem is it freezes and you don't feel it. So I don't have any med tape. I thought I did, but I don't. So like we talked about duct tape, having duct tape, having foam tape, that 3M foam tape, I usually carry it, I don't have any with me. You'll see a lot of guys using it. I know Tyler's he uses it all the time. I use it also, not all the time, but I use it quite a bit of the time. And then you kind of begin to learn where you need to have it. I don't have to have my whole face taped up anymore like I used to, but.
Know your limits, right? I know. If it's 0 to 20 below, I usually do like the bridge, like over the top of my eyebrows, down the corner right here. That's kind of I don't even put any tape on until it's in that 0 range, 20 below. If it's below 20 below, I end up doing the bridge of my nose over here, and this just kind of blocks all this in. That's all I do, and I know my ranges of where I use that, and then make sure that's all sealed up as well. Know how to put that on quick, like. Done it enough, I don't have to stare at a mirror. I can just grab this tape, throw it on, feel where it's at, do that. Kind of know how to do it. Yes, most places you're gonna be able to have a mirror and you can get in there and get it in. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just want to get like, essentially, normally I do it here is to pull one off, go right across the top, like right above your eyebrows. You guys want to clean up those bushy ones and give you a little, and then come down the side. It's like right here is notorious, like the corner. That's where you're going to get leaking, and that's what it is any air coming in and leaking. You don't want that touching your skin.
Quick question, what do you guys do on goggles? You have one set up fully taped,
so
one
yes,
untaped?
we're actually, it's a good time because we're actually going into gear, which actually is the next subject anyways, so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. He's talking about like the goggles, so let me just back up just a little bit. In one of, like actually the first year that I raced, we left Unalakleet and it was really warm. It was 20. Yeah. So it was like 20. It was 20 degrees. It was pretty warm on the coast. It was pretty warm. It wasn't super cold. So we decided to like I just put on a regular just balaclava with nothing. I didn't tape up my face, and I was like, I'll be plenty fine. Well, we take off and we get up on the coast, and it dropped to about, it wasn't super cold, but it was below 0 probably. When we got up to by Koyuk heading to Nome, and the wind was a complete crosswind that just was coming in, and no matter what you did, you couldn't get behind the windshield, you couldn't do anything. Didn't even think about this. Again, this is that kind of thinking about prepping for all conditions, not just the conditions that you're at right then, because they can change. And everybody that was like coming into Nome that year, everybody had frostbite on the side of their face because the wind was just blowing in so hard.
So the taping, and this is like saying, you know, a lot of people when he's talking about, you see how he taped on the top. Sometimes I usually tape this
and the bend too,
top
yeah.
here. He taped this one probably for really, really cold. Here's the bottom. I usually leave the bottoms open. or at least the sides here. So you still, because you want to be able to get some of that, your gun and your face is warm. You want to be able to let that perspiration get out of the lens. Otherwise, like what could happen is you start perspirating, it doesn't have anywhere to go. It's going to start freezing on the inside of here. So you want to have some sort of movement there. You just don't want that air kind of leaking in and freezing your eyeballs, because I have done that. Legitimately with this.
I'm fairly lucky. I shouldn't say lucky, but when it comes to, I have super dry eyes, so I don't like any wind at all coming into my eyes. But I am lucky in the sense of the way I sweat, for whatever reason. I don't sweat a lot in this area for whatever reason, so I'm pretty, and again, sometimes I do, but for the most part, I'm pretty good compared to a lot of people. I don't have as many goggle issues as some people. And this is where, when he's talking about taping up, you want to test this out. You want to test out what works for you. The other thing too is when it's warmer, again, having extra sets of goggles that maybe that aren't taped, and then having some that are taped that you can swap out real quick. That's how I've typically done it, is had some that are more open. Again though, even some of mine that are more open, I typically taped some of it because I don't like a lot of air going through it and drying out my eyes, because my eyes are already bad enough. So again, you got to just try it. I mean, we've done all kinds of goofy stuff with taping goggles and, you know, taping everything up. Make sure you have a good seal. Everybody's face is different. Everybody's helmets are different in the way that they seal up in there. Just make sure you have a really good seal with your mask and stuff like that. It's probably one of the biggest things of your equipment that you guys are going to be wearing is your helmet, goggle, and face mask combination. Because like Tyler was talking about, I remember getting into McGrath and guys just having frostbite on their necks that are just unreal.
And that's just from coming in the goggles?
Just coming in from the face mask, coming in from the side.
They got, a lot of times it happens, like I said, they got hot, and they got sweating, and they unzipped. A lot of people unzip here, and then they can't get it to zip back up, and they don't stop and deal with it. That's where I think that, I know it happens. Or they reach up, and you're breathing like this, and they pull their mask down a little bit. That's where I think that, I know that happens. Sticking with the goggle thing here is, as you see here, Chris has yellow lenses on everything. I don't like yellow. I like clear. That's all I run. I run clear 100% of the time. I don't like any color variation. That's me personally. Only thing I don't like, and I think Chris maybe goes yellow. One thing I hate about it is at night it takes away the light and it causes issue. I don't like that. So I don't like that transition from daylight light. I like clear. So same deal. Don't let somebody talk you into saying, oh, Rose is the only lens to run, and I run and be like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of Rose lenses and run those the week before the race because it looks like it's gonna be cloudy or flat light. I say this, and I keep saying it because people do this every damn year. It is inevitable. People do this, so don't do that. Like whatever you know works. And with this, with eye care, it is an important thing, and I found my eyes are not as good as they were in my 20s. I'm now 40, and I have frozen my eyeballs twice in the race now. Like bad enough to where it looks like you're looking through Visqueen all of a sudden. And it's usually, the last one I had was, you get very, depending on where you are within your team, if you're the one leading, you're the one following. The guy following has the perspective of, in that case, in a whiteout, they kind of have somebody to follow, and that gives them depth perception to follow that. The guy leading a lot of times is super hyper-focused on trying to figure out where things are, find a cave-in, and next thing you find yourself, you're not blinking. And when you're not blinking, you're not getting your eye wet, and I have had it to where I froze my eyeballs from being like so focused on it in very cold temps at my eye. So I knew it instantly as soon as it was like, man, it's getting even flatter out, and getting worse, and I can't see. And I'm like, oh, shoot. So now I'm riding with my eyes closed one at a time, trying to get it to thaw back out. And just something like, yeah, it's legitimately the blinking. And so try to, something maybe that resonates if you're out there, like, oh, my eyes are hurting. Like, try to make sure you're blinking.
You know, we've already said it multiple times, and I'll keep saying it this whole time about trying what you're doing, because you guys are learning some of the stuff that we've learned over the years. Like a perfect example, talking about lenses. I decided to try some of those photo, whatever, the auto tinting, you know, thinking, hey, it's the best of both worlds. We get clear in the daytime or clear at nighttime, and it gets dark in the daytime. Well, I can tell you, we took off, and we started getting between Roan and Nikolai, and it started getting dark. Our goggles, because when it's super cold, they don't work, just so you know. When it's cold out, they stay dark the whole time. They do not go clear unless they get warmed up. So we take off, and it was like, I pulled over, and I was like, man, I can't see anything. And my teammate was saying the same thing. I was like, I can't see anything either. And I'm like looking at him like, your lenses are dark. I said, no, my lenses are, we took them off. We're like, that's the problem. We had to stuff them under our hood, and it was like, so anyways, again, try these things. Don't try them the day of the race. Like I said, we did that. Horrible mistake. I mean, we struggled. We were freaking riding by Braille because we tried some lenses that we had never tried before. Stick with something that you know. I used to wear dark lenses because I have sensitive eyes. I pretty much, like Tyler said, I run like just amber, or for me, amber works good for the definition, or clear. I will wear, you know, if I know that it's just daytime, I will wear dark lenses, but for the most part, I don't even do that. Like I said, I pretty much will stick with these.
Go to water, carrying water.
That was the first one.
Pretty stone.
Talking about clothing and, you know, so, you know, we kind of hit it a little bit earlier too about like what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. Clothing is a huge, everybody is so different. I can tell you that I've had a teammate where, you know, when I had one layer of clothes on, he had 4 to be, you know, so I mean, it can be different for everyone. I myself, I feel like I wear less than most people. Not as little as Shane Barber, but I wear, yeah, no one wears as little as he does, but I wear kind of less. I also believe that what you're wearing, I personally would rather be a little bit cold than overheat 100% of the time, because when you start overheating and you start sweating, that's when you're going to have a problem. When you start overheating, it's kind of like the frostbite scenario. When I start overheating, I will stop and fix what's going on right then, whether it's opening up some vents, because I don't want to start overheating. I don't want to start sweating. As soon as you start sweating, you're going to get moisture in there, and that's going to cause a lot of issues. So I personally like to be a little bit on the cold side. I obviously don't like to be super cold, but I would prefer to be a little bit cooler than to be overheated.
I'm shivering at the start. You're gonna be, like, be all right with that. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, you're gonna warm up quick. Like, especially the start of the race, it's gonna be standing around. Be all right with that. Don't be like, oh, I'm gonna run back to the trailer and throw some more stuff on. You're gonna want to. It's gonna be cold. You're gonna be far better off to be cold, plan on warming up, and then have the ability to get warmer in that regard. Like, have a very down jackets. They're easy, right? With whatever brand, whatever you have, those packable downs, keep those very accessible. I keep one in my dash bag.
I do too.
Like a small little one. And if it got that cold and I'm not warming up and I'm just like miserable and I can't seem to warm up because it's still cold, throw that jacket on. I pull that outer layer off, my Gore-Tex shell, throw that down jacket on, put that on. I'm gonna warm up. But it's better to do that than trying to get out there and peel stuff off and then try to find somewhere to stick it. Again, it's just, it's gonna be, you're gonna wanna be more on that cold side.
Chris, do you have an example?
Yeah, so a couple things. I'll just kind of, I guess we'll start with, like, you know, the type of material you guys, if you've ever heard the terminology cotton kills, you don't want to be wearing cotton because it absorbs the moisture and it holds the moisture the whole time. With that being said, there's a whole bunch of different materials that are out. You know, I personally like to wear the wool. It does hold a little bit of moisture, but for me, I just like the way it feels as opposed to the synthetic stuff. Obviously, there's plenty of synthetics. You know, the Climb, they have like their synthetics labeled like 1, 2, 3. So obviously, the higher the number, the more insulating property it has. I wear, this is what I wear under my pants, and this is all that I wear under my pants until it gets about, if I know that it's gonna be sustaining at 15 below or colder, I'll layer up. But this is what I pretty much wear. This is it. This is all I wear. It's just a super thin layer of wool. And that's
When you
it.
say pants, you talking the bibs or you talking?
My
about
bibs, yeah. So I do also wear, and this is going back to the chafing, is I do wear their padded shorts. So it has padding in it, and it also has padding on the sides and stuff, so if you crash.
So that base layer, to reiterate what he's saying, is, and I'm the exact same as whatever brand you're using, if it's Klein, Smart Wool, whatever, I highly suggest is a merino wool base layer. A very thinner, I think in Smart Wool, it's like they call it like their 150s, or Klein, they only offer the single for the merino stuff. Well, but that is the base that you build everything off from. What that merino is doing is it's wicking away all that moisture from your body, trying to get that so as you're perspirating, you're sweating, it's getting it away. Idea is it goes through all these synthetic layers, and then your Gore-Tex is allowing that to get out, but you're not holding that moisture in. I've witnessed it, I've done it, I've gotten in the water, gotten out of the water. It is amazing how merino wool specifically works with getting that water away from your skin. It's absorbing it into another layer. So that's, I think, anything you do, as I say, build it off from any sort of merino wool base layer.
That's just, yeah, that's me. Both of us wear the same stuff from the base layer. So I wear the super thin stuff. They do make the next heavier. This is wool too, and then they go to the thickest wool, which this is wool also. So it has a collar and a zipper. And again, you can get basically the same thing in the poly stuff. And again, kind of play around with this stuff when you're out there layering, because you might be able to get away with maybe something a little bit thicker that's not too hot. I mean, once I get up to like the 3.0, like if I do wear it, to me it's just too hot. So I like I said, on my bottoms, I'm usually pretty good. I don't have to have a bunch of stuff on my bottoms. My upper body, I might need to layer up. For some of you that may be rookies, this is something that, I mean, I wear a chest protector all the time, 100% of the time that I'm riding. I don't just ride it when I'm racing. That's just something that I've gotten used to. I remember when they made it mandatory in Iron Dog, it was a nightmare because we already had a system that worked, and I knew clothing-wise what worked, and then we had to wear a tech vest, and all of a sudden, everything that we did now was too hot all the time, so you got to make sure you're wearing this stuff. And so we had sleeves made and all kinds of stuff made up. But so with that, try it out, see what you like. When it does get colder, they have thicker pants like this. These are kind of like, as they call it, kind of comfort mapping, where it has like where the wind is, it's a little bit stiffer, but then like in the back and then down here, it breathes a little bit more, I guess, if you want to say that. And in jackets, I mean, of course, there's a million different, like I said, you can layer up to the different, you can have however many layers on you want. Once you get to like say a heavier layer, I mean, they have everything from down synthetic. Like I carry this, like when Tyler was talking about, I carry this in my sled all the time, and it packs down to like, it looks big now, and it's pretty heavy puffy jacket. It'll pack down to almost nothing, and I can stuff this in my dash bag, no problem. And so I'm always carrying this with me. I don't wear it. I don't intend to wear it, but if it was really cold, or if I break down, something you need to consider is you're nice and warm when you're riding, but when you break down, you're going to want to have some warm clothes.
Gist of it, coming back, I think everything builds off from that base layer, that thin merino wool, and then anybody that's not been around, like, I know there's insulated versions and all these, if you're used to that and you want to, that's fine. But from the race aspect of it, the two bases that build off from that thinner layer, and then this is going to be your outer. And even if that hasn't really been around, that's all like a Valdez jacket is. All this is Gore-Tex layer. There's no warmth value to this other than it's blocking the wind and the moisture, and then allowing moisture out. That's what all this is doing. And then you figure out what works for you in between that, whether it's some sort of a fleece layer inside at certain temps, and just know that. And then, Again, I kind of know those and I have those temps with me, and then my safety net again is going back to the down packable jacket and putting that on. And when I put mine on, different variations, I have a down jacket that fits over the top of my tech vest. My tech vest is underneath my jacket, so I know that the down jacket I have, all I have to do is take off that one quick outside layer. I'm not really getting cold because I've stopped at that point, and I can throw on a down jacket over the top of all of this, and then that down jacket fits, all that fits inside of my outer layer, and I have that warmth of that down layer. So, because I say that because somebody gets a jacket that's, you know, your casual jacket you wear around maybe day to day with you, one, might not fit over your tech vest, and then you're like trying to get it up and the zipper can't do it. And then they also, nobody's ever tried it and they can't get their outer layer to fit over it because now you have this added. So make sure all that stuff works.
And if you're running the pro class, I mean, we've watched it. I've watched it, guys 100 times that have insulated gear. If it's 40 above and we leave Big Lake, you are going to be sweating no matter, if you're wearing nothing underneath it, it's going to be too hot. So I highly recommend getting just a shell
there,
because you can layer up anything you know, you can layer whatever you want underneath this, but like an insulated jacket. Now in trail class or expedition class might be different. You guys are going at a different pace. You can stop when you start overheating. You can, so I'm not saying that, I'm not discounting that, but in the pro class, if you're somewhat taking this somewhat seriously, that you can't undress.
You're going to see the trend of how they're right? Right, just said South Central, all of a sudden it's going to be cold for a little while, then you're going to go through the last grade. It's going to get hot, you're going to get hot, you're going to get aerobic, you're going to go to the other side, it's going to get cold. McGrath now, you're going to get a little bit cold leaving McGrath, all of a sudden Ophir to Poor Man, you now are back aerobically moving, you're going to get hot. You're going to be hot as well, you're turning as you're going from Poor Man into Ruby, you're going to be moving, you're hot, and then you're going to hit the Yukon and it's going to get cold, and you're going to sit on the Parks Highway and hold the thing to the bar at 100 miles an hour, and you're going to be bored out of your mind. Because it's smooth. Historically, it can be rough, and you're going to get cold. So I'm going to hit Ruby. I have that down jacket on. I would say 9 times out of 10, I get to Ruby, I'm throwing my down jacket on because I know I'm prepared to just sit there and stare off into La La Land.
Yeah, and historically the Yukon is historically super cold. So I mean, it's 40 below. It's pretty normal, and then you're cruising at 100 miles an hour. If you do the wind calcs, it's off the chart. So
you do that for the next 130 miles, and then you're going to see Then you're going to hit the Portage. You're going to hit Caltag, and you're going to go to Unalakleet. You're going to be the first 20 miles. You're in these tight woods, bumpy woods, and you're going to get hot again. Now with that down jacket you had on, you're going to want to be peeling that back off, and then you hit the coast. And it may be warmed up, but now it blows 40 all the time. And so it's just, you're going to see these up and down swings, and you're constantly going to be taking layers on, off, and changing that.
Kind of talking about like having a heavy jacket with you, like something I always carry mittens too, is because I've been stranded by myself before. When it was super cold, we were out on the Yukon actually, and my teammate left me because my sled was not going so good, and his sled started having problems after mine, so there was a chance that no one was even coming to come after me or anything. So just having something warm, having another couple options is I do carry like these liner gloves in my pocket, so that if I do have to work on something, I can still actually work on something, but I'm not just touching cold. Again, Klein makes like 1, 2, and 3 of these. Actually, the number 3s is pretty impressive how well they actually work for how thin they are too. Like I said, I can just throw these I keep these in my pocket.
I'm 100% the same as him. When he says mittens, like they're heavy, I carry them every single year. I've never had to wear them, but they are packed down. They're packed down. They're not in a very accessible spot. But if I'm out there and I'm just sitting there now in just survival mode, I'm going to have mittens packed away to put those on. And another neat thing, I don't like to say to depend on it, but it is very interesting, is the heated gloves.
Yeah, I
pack those, and
I do too.
Pretty awesome.
I pack these also, and we can might as well talk about that now. The heated gear. Did start wearing this stuff here in the last couple years. The heated climbs, the E-Fire, and the gloves. The gloves actually been using for quite a few years. Again, you want to test this stuff out. And you don't want to rely on this as your main source of heat. Again, you want to have some stuff that you can put on if you really need it. But I will say that this stuff is it's really comfortable.
So I'll tell you a story. Last year, Nick broke his back on January 2nd training. Me and him out riding. It was the only time last year it was probably cold. I think it was 10 to 15 below, maybe even colder, 20 below that morning. And I had to leave him sitting there on the river because I couldn't get him out of there. I had to go get a way to get him out of there, so I had to just leave him. And he had E-Fire stuff, and he was able to sit there for almost an hour. And he was cold, but he had his, so turn that thing up, turn his gloves on, and he was all right as far as that. It was kind of pretty neat to be able to have that ability to keep him warm when I had to leave. We didn't have a sleeping bag with us training for some reason, but he had to hang out there for almost an hour. That helped.
2 years ago, when we were training, it was 50 below in Shell Lake, and it was 50 below when we came into McGrath when we were training. And we got to Nikolai, and we were moving. I was fine with the weather, but I was wearing this gear, the heated gear. When we got to Nikolai, we were there for probably an hour and a half waiting to get fuel. So we're just standing around and not moving. So I started getting pretty chilled. And I'll tell you what, that's where, like I said, this is like super comfortable. I was able just to put it on medium, and then I actually turned it to low once I kind of got warmed back up. Or I put it on high, then medium, and then low, and it was super comfortable. Same with like the gloves. A couple things to think about though, like with the gloves, the batteries get really cold and they don't maybe last as long. One thing that when we knew that it was going to be cold, we left with charged batteries with them on low. So there's already a drain on the battery and the battery's staying warm. And we went from like Unilocleat to Gnome with them on low, and it was awesome. I mean, but again, maybe having extra batteries. But if you just stuff these in your when it's 50 below, and you just stuff them in there, and you pull them out and expecting them batteries to work, no, it doesn't always work. It might work, but I wouldn't count on it. But they definitely are. Almost everything's coming heated now. It's definitely worth playing around with. Like I said, it's nothing I rely on for survivability, but for comfort, it is great. It's definitely something to.
You guys got any questions on gear? Anything you guys use? Anything specifics?
Do you run climb boots or do you guys run running boots?
So I got, this is a big thing. I wear both, depending on what I'm doing.
If the whole race looks like it's going to be 40 below.
I wear bunny boots. I've worn bunny boots in Iron Dog 100% of the time. I've worn bunny boots. I've been in the water way too many times to count. And so for me, I just like the safety of having a bunny boot. Now, the problem that I have is I love my climb boots. I love these boots. And my last teammate, he wore them all the time. Like he wore them in the race, no real issues. Even one year when it was pretty wet, he got wet. He was okay with wearing them. I personally I train on these from the very get-go because I have a problem if I start training with these and then I go back to these, it really sucks. So, but after Iron Dog, I usually go with this. It depends on where I'm riding. When I'm training for riding, when we're out in the middle of nowhere, and I know I'm going out in nowhere, I'll wear bunny boots. And in the race, same thing, because we are out in the middle of nowhere all the time. And that's just my personal preference. But again, it's all about what you really like. I mean, some people don't like the way that bunny boots make your feet feel because they're sweating the whole time and wet.
I have ankle issues, like I have some tissue damage in my feet from wrecks in the past. So bunny boots, it's got to be really cold. They're an amazing boot. If it was going to be, I looked at the temps and I'm looking at this through leading up to the race. If it looks like it's going to be 30 below or colder, I'm going to transfer over and wear bunny boots. I'm just going to do it because I know my feet are going to get cold. But it's going to have to be a really cold-looking race. It's chintzy, and I hate that. I mean, I would never even have thought I'd say With the climb boots, I get away to that though easily, is just those little handshaker deals, the little pop feet. I carry those in my day bag, and if it's cold, I put those on my feet, and they work for 8 hours. Like, they work very well. And I just carry spare ones, and I'll put those on the bottom of my feet, and those help, because climb boots are just, they're not quite as warm as a bunny boot. And there's other, the wet thing that Chris talks about. It's just all personal preference. I just have a bad.
There's a lot of people that have.
They hurt my.
Yep.
They hurt my feet.
There's a lot of people that, I mean, obviously when it comes to ankle support, this thing has very little to no ankle support. I'm pretty lucky. Like I said, I've been wearing these since I started riding sleds, and it's just not a big deal to me. So, but some people, you know, Matt couldn't wear them because they didn't have enough ankle support for him. So
the new ones are a little more. They're spongy, right? If you go to the new Airframe one or Alaska Gear Company, they're a little bit they're a little better. In that actually, they're a lot better in just the comfort level. They have all the properties that they work well in that regard, but they still lack the ankle.
I haven't tried them, so I can't comment on that.
I know guys that have been in the. I'm going to lean to somebody. Eric's wore them quite a bit. I think it's from your perspective.
Yeah, they're very similar to the old Betas.
But
and they're more comfy, I think.
Yeah. So
I would. Little legs, you tighten them all the way up and still shove your hand the whole way in.
That is the pocket.
Yeah.
I've never done it. Have you guys ever wore like seal skins in your climb boots?
No.
Does that help at all or anything like that?
I have not.
No,
I know they have alpaca socks and all these other. There's all these new things. I have yet to try any of that stuff. The seal skin stuff. No.
Yeah, I've never tried them. I know some people have, and they say that they work pretty good.
I've worn for hunting, like under my hiking boots. They have the rainforest deer hunting, and I don't think I recommend it for riding under your body.
I got
Well, they're gonna hold more moisture.
I mean,
So-
Have you ever changed your climbing stuff?
I never have. No. I haven't. My foot there's a certain one. My right hand side one's gonna get colder typically, and this is all. Where it's gonna ever become an issue is if you're getting towed. That's all this stuff is like.
Yeah.
It's gonna probably be already. Your sled's radiating a lot of heat out. You get a lot of heat off from your clutches. My left foot is actually, we have a brake rotor and everything that sits right there too, so my left foot's skidoo warmer than even your right, you think down by the muffler, but it's fine while you're moving. All this stuff and all these considerations, all this stuff to think about is when all of a sudden it went to shit, and you're now sitting out in the middle of the woods, and it's
40, 50 below.
It's 50 below. You start going by spruce trees, and you start being like, all right, I can light that one on fire. I can light that one on fire. I mean, legitimately, that's what I'm thinking about. You're going down like, if I had to, how am I going to survive? Like, you want to keep that in mind with all of this.
Yeah.
Snow machines for a long time as well.
If I had to, yes.
Going back to the boots though, I know that for people that are, you know, especially like out-of-staters, if they're looking for bunny boots, there's a lot of different brands of bunny boots. So, you know, like so we're talking about the Alaska Gear, make sure you stick with like the Beta or a known one, or try it. You know, they quit making these a long time ago, I think in the 80s, 90s, 92, whatever. So, but there's still plenty around. The white ones have 3 layers of insulation. The black ones only have 2, so these aren't as warm. But for me, the 2 layers is fine for me. I don't need the bigger ones, but just something to keep in mind, especially for the out-of-towners if they're thinking about getting bunny boots. Make sure you get the good.
Not a sales pitch at all.
Yeah.
These are, if you can get these, which they are getting a lot harder to find.
They are.
One, and to get a set of Betas, they're $400 plus 2. If you can get it, it's hard to find. I guess I gave up on it. I have a set that I care, but I would want to say this is no sales pitch. Alaska Gear Company, that boot is the closest thing that has been produced next to this. If you have a desire to do it, I'd go that route. That's my personal opinion. So I have a set of them I wear occasionally. Like I said, to what he's stating, I think there for a while they were selling some at like Napa or something, some Those things were junk. Like they were absolute junk. Don't get caught up in buying those ones.
Yeah, don't buy the off.
I'd either buy, if you can find those ones used somewhere, or sold the old bunny boot version, or go to the gear company. That's fine.
Yeah, they're not the same. So, you know, something to think about too is, you know, talking about, you know, weight versus use. Again, you want to just try this stuff. Try and see what works. You guys you're gonna have to go out testing when it's, you know, 30 below out, when it's 40 below out. Because if you don't, you're not gonna know what's gonna be comfortable. And historically, it's at least gonna be 25 below on the Yukon. I mean, there's been a couple exceptions to that, but you know, it's gonna be cold on the Yukon no matter what. So you need to get out there and try it. We kind of skipped over a little bit, but when we were talking about the goggles, another big thing for me is your goggle management. I mean, I see a lot of people struggling with goggles all the time. They're whether it's sweat or whatever. People taking their goggles off a lot is a big one. I watch people do this all the time. They pull off their goggles, they stuff them on their dash. It's snowing out and it's snowing inside their goggles. Just be thinking about that kind of stuff. You want to, you know, I call it complete goggle management. You want to make sure that you know where you can put your goggles where they're not getting wet. Don't let water.
If he's saying, like, you have to work on it, you're doing something, even changing a belt, like, shove them in there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of warmth in there, keeps that off, because all of a sudden you, like, what people do, you watch it. And it's still snowing outside a little bit. Now the inside, you got all the snow and stuff inside. You can't get it out. You're trying to bang it out. They're your protection for your eyes. They're pretty important to have.
Yeah, like I said, make sure you have them. Be thinking about if you have another set of goggles, like where you're going to keep them. If you can put them in a place that's warm, they can actually get thawed out if they do get iced up. I mean, there's ice fog and stuff like that too. So be thinking about that. When it comes to, we kind of hit on it a little bit, but like your balaclava that you wear, I mean, this is a huge impact on your goggles. It's a huge impact on your face and your warmth. This is the Arctic balaclava from Climb. This is the one that I wear. I pretty much wear this 100%. I shouldn't say 100%. When it's really warm out, I won't wear it, but I just wear it all the time. And it's got, this is all wind stopper type material, so wind doesn't go through the front. It does have the thinner stuff in the back so that it can kind of breathe. But you want to try this out. There's all kinds of options, but more than likely you want something with some kind of a snout on it, because when it's 40 below, just having an open balaclava, even with like tape and stuff, it's going to be a lot of wind potentially in your face, they can potentially get into your face. So try some of stuff out
with that. And one more here is, so like what you're gonna probably experience with this cold that you maybe do or do not have before, you're gonna be a long day. You're gonna have this on, this whole thing's gonna become ice, right? Because your breath, you're sitting there, you're breathing, and it's gonna build up, and all of a sudden you're gonna have it to a point that this is gonna be so much ice and you have so much in there that you're gonna start to like try to breathe. You can't breathe because now the box, it's all sealed off. There's nowhere for it to breathe out. And now you're sucking your mask in and you're trying to like beat ice out of here to be able to you're gonna have to reach up and like try to break it off. Like that's gonna probably happen.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with temps and then the length of time that you're gonna be out, where you're out in the elements and breathing like that. That's very high likelihood that happens with that. So be prepared. Back to the goggles, one little thing I was going to mention about this is something personal that I've come across. A lot of these new lenses are awesome. They're interchangeable. These are like a polycarbon. They're hard, right? Only thing I have to consider about this is in ice, to get ice to scrape off from this, it's not very easy now. It's hard. You have a scraper, but it adheres to this harder than you think of the old plastic, like a standard lens. You can get those, you can push on them and they actually flex in, you can get it to break up. These, they don't like to do that. And anybody that hasn't done it, as simple as this is, when they do, is you know how to get it off. If you had ice on here, what would you do? You'd put it under your exhaust. Don't shove it up and burn your lens and burn a hole through it, but you can kind of get down alongside, get alongside your snow machine. If it's that bad, clear out some snow underneath the exhaust and just kind of get under there, and you can just kind of just put them under there and dry it off with it idling, wipe them off, get them back on. That's about I just like to say, that's one thing to consider with these. I carry, so this is all, Chris and I are both, right? All we wear is Klein, amazing products. I carry this is their Edge, which is a polycarbon. They still have what it's a Viper goggle. It's like an older style, it's a more pliable lens. I carry, my variation is I have a set of these, which is my go-to, I love these, but I also have my backups. One of them is a set of Vipers. If it was really bad ice fog, because I know I can scrape those a little bit better and get the ice off.
And the other option is maybe heated goggles too.
Just don't, yeah. I'd say, and that's perception, you know, talking to them. Heated goggle was made to more so for the moisture inside. They were not meant to keep ice off from your outside of your lens. A lot of people are like, oh, it's heated and it's going to keep all that ice fog off. That's not what they were designed for.
It only generates so much heat, so in certain conditions, you're gonna get into some ice fog where it's just accumulating on your lenses.
Yeah, just things to think about.
Yeah. A couple more things that I was going to hit on is gloves. Man, there's so many different gloves out there. You got to try what you want. But I will say, of all the things that I have seen people try last minute, more than anything, is gloves, and that is a horrible idea because getting blisters the first day and then having to ride with blisters the rest of the race is just not good. So again, if I start getting wet with my gloves, I will change them out right then and there. I don't want them to be damp. I don't want to be going with wet gloves and getting blisters. You know, there's thin, medium, thick, and extra thick gloves. I have really bad hands. I frostbit my hands multiple times, so I used to run really super thin gloves. Every year I kind of go a little bit thicker. I actually like these guide gloves because they're a little bit thicker. But like the Power Cross or like even the Spool, like if it's warm out, I'll wear a thinner glove. I personally like the leather palm gloves instead of the synthetic palm gloves because these grip better for me. Again, it's just a preference thing. Also, again, making sure that it's not, like I said, you don't get blisters and nothing substitute, just riding and trying and don't change them the day before and say, oh, these are going to work better.
Likewise with that is don't be like, even if you come, like I use a Spool glove. That's what I like. I like the dexterity of it, I like the thin. I like a super thin glove because I have my hot grips. I manage my hot grips. I go that route. And then I have warmer gloves to say my sled, the hot grips quit working for whatever reason. But I like a very thin glove, and I use that to 30 below. Like as long as I have my hot grips, I know I'm good. But I wear like the race, I might have a fresher set, but don't get a brand new pair on and start the race with that brand like, oh, I love my Spools. I'm gonna start with a brand new pair. Have a pair that you at least broke in a little bit. They're gonna be a little more, you know, movable.
Actually, all the gear that pertains to pretty much everything, you know, you're better off to make sure it's broken even a little bit, better than nothing at all. And just to make sure that everything's adjusted right and stuff like that. Don't just show up at the starting line with all brand new gear. I think the last thing that I wanted to talk about on this is we were kind of talking about you break down. One thing that we have used, like I said, I carry the mittens, but gauntlets are another good one. Like if you break down, you can pull your gauntlets off your machine. Use those as mittens as an extra layer, and I have had to do that multiple times. So just something to think about. You can use that as a secondary glove or as a makeshift mitten. So I think that's all I got from the gear. Unless anybody have any questions on gear?
Quick question, what do you guys do for hearing protection?
I wear earplugs. I've always worn earplugs since I first started riding, and I still wear earplugs.
Just standard foamy?
Just foam earplugs is what I wear. I like the, some people don't like wearing ear pro at all, or ear protection. I like it because, I don't know, to me it just makes me, I feel calmer and stuff like that instead of hearing that noise the whole time. And I still have decent hearing, although my wife will argue with me all the time that I don't
don't hear anything she says, but that's, I tell her all the time, that's selective hearing. My hearing is actually pretty good, but I like to, you know,
I wish I
check my
could.
hearing.
I can't. Yeah, it screws me up.
Yeah, and there's,
My
I know,
equilibrium's all off. I can't, I'm too used to, I wish I would've started 20 years ago wearing them, but now I ride it and I'm all screwed up. I can't, my speed and the noise ratio, all that, it messes me up.
and Tyler's not the only one. I know a lot of people who just can't wear ear pro. Like for me though, it's calming, and I like having, but like, you know, liking to be able to hear the mechanical stuff in the sled, like Tyler says, the wind noise, and it's just another sense that you have that you're kind of taking away that you use as a racer. But like I said, I've been doing it since day one, so to me that's just the normal. Everything to me, my senses are normal with the earplugs in. I feel goofy when I forget to put them in. So I think we're at a point where I think we want to take a break, I think. Break that?
Yeah, one question they had was liners in the helmet, tape and vent shut. I don't know if you talked about
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we didn't talk about this at all. He's talking about liners and taping off vents and helmet. Again, so like the climb helmets, they have a windstopper liner in them. And so you basically install it on the inside, so it actually has a windstopper liner on the whole thing, so to keep wind out. To me, it's still not enough. So when it's, you know, again, if it's 40, 50 below, if you look at my helmet, you know, this is one that I wear on a regular basis, winter helmet. I don't have these taped up, but all these upper vents are taped off. These are, this upper one's taped off, this back one's taped off. I do leave these two vents open. And that's just, so I have a little bit of ventilation, so I have some exhaust coming out so it lets the moisture and stuff out. But all these ones that are ramming into it, with the exception that I do have these, I will, if it's 50, if I know it's gonna be 50 below, I will tape up even these ones here, but I typically leave them open. They also, the climb helmet has a breathe deflector in it, so it basically does block, even though these aren't taped up, they're 100% blocked off by the breath deflector that's in it. So, you know, depending on what brand of helmet, you might want to consider blocking off some of the vents, because it's, again, it's, you know, one thing that I do wish that they would go back to is, you know, some of our old helmets used to actually have adjustable vents on them, which were really nice. We don't have that option. But if I know it's going to be warm and I look at the weather ahead of time, I will peel and add tape as necessary during the race or the conditions that we're doing. But this is kind of my typical setup. Like I said, I leave these back ones open, but everything pretty much in the front's closed off. And that's just my, again, personal preference, but highly recommended at least trying it. You know, when it's warm out, again, if I know it's going to be warm, there's been a couple years where the race has been warm, where I will just start peeling off, you know, so that I do have some ventilation to kind of keep cool. That's, we'll take a few minute break here, or I don't know what's scheduled here, but we'll take a little break, and you guys can use the bathroom. I don't know if there's, yeah.
Thanks for scope out all this stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so dude, I'm
He was out, yeah, like they're trying to go.
You what? Oh, you did it? Oh. they wanted to go. Oh yeah, that's great. Thank you guys. Oh, nice. Oh yeah, no, as soon as you guys are involved with that, I just need to fix my computer. I just was like, this computer works, like,
try to look